hospital to work today, and I had an interesting conversation with a investigator, someone who, Mark Gillespie, who does his area of expertise. He's a private investigator. His whole life he's been an investigator, whether he was in the Air Force or maybe it was Navy. And so I was talking about how disturbed I was about the cameraman in the Nikolas Cruz trial, penalty phase, how disturbed I was about the cameras staying, zoned in on the families as they hear their children and their loved ones crying out, in pain and fear. And he had a really great perspective on it that I neglected to consider, really. I mean, I did in passing, but not to the level, that he described. And his area of expertise, he's an investigator. He works for defense attorneys. And so this would be his team that he would work with. He would be privy to these types of strategic discussions. And he felt like that this was an agreement, that this was an arranged strategy by the prosecution and the parents, that they want people impacted emotionally. They want the nation to know the depth of despair and horror that their children suffered, and then obviously their ongoing grief and loss. I have to agree. I've been watching it the last few days from that perspective. 1 minute. I've been watching it the last few days from that perspective. It does seem like the parents are sitting specifically together. There's another side of the courtroom that they can sit, and they would not at all ever be on the camera. So I think I'm wrong about what I originally said. I think that that they've sort of been coached. If you're on this side of the room, everybody's going to see you. We're going to show you. We want to show the world. We don't want it to be about the killer. We don't want to make him any more famous than he's already become. We want to remember our children. We want people to remember the ones that we lost. If you want to be sheltered from that, if you want to keep your identity private, then you can, sit on this side of the courtroom. I tend to think that may be what's happening now that Gillespie, brought that up. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I still am a little conflicted with it, though. I don't know why it bothers me. From my perspective, let me say from my perspective, given the manner in which he is behaving, he's a bit like TJ Lane, not to the full extent of TJ, obviously, but he's a little bit like TJ in that he just seems to be so completely, he's not really detached from the crime that he committed, but he's detached from the pain and the suffering and the damage that he wrought. I think he still owns the crime. I think that was I think that the crime was an attempt to build some form of unique identity, which he obviously was lacking. TJ Lane, exactly the same. TJ came out of a very brutal family. Any emotion that was felt always reset to anger. I mean, every person in the family had serious anger problems. There, even after the sentencing, the sister came out and made a brief statement. And again, she's so detached. But that is a survival mechanism when you are in when you're in an environment where daily it's just an onslaught on your emotions and your sense of humanity, never knowing if you're about to be beaten or if your sister or brother is to be beaten. And so on some level, you kind of have to become cold to it, just as a matter of survival. Not that I'm casting judgment on it, but as a survival situation. The great thing is, if you've become a bit numb to that sort of thing because of the difficult, volatile or angry home environment, you can get back in touch with your emotions. You can definitely restart a life where other emotions besides anger reign. Anger is always a secondary emotion. Always a secondary emotion. Never fails. There's always a primary emotion like sadness, shame, happiness, but then through the constructive or formative experiences that we have, we can learn to reset to anger as a type of like defense against whatever's happening. So because anger's secondary, it's acting out violently, learning to detach. All of those are survival skills. You can reconnect. You can get back in touch with your primary emotions and find courage. It can become really, in that type of setting, it can become really scary to be vulnerable and show love or show desire or show a sense of needing a sense of affiliation. Those things can be really, really frightening if all you've ever experienced is judgmental put downs, unpredictable volatility. You grow up in a family like that, it's just survival, and a lot of that survival is detachment. I'm talking about emotional. I'm not talking about forming a new personality, but emotional detachment, getting cold and acclimated to it, or using anger to keep a barrier up between you and whatever is causing the pain. So TJ Lane grew up in that type of home, and he was a school shooter in Ohio. He grew up in that kind of home, and he owned his crime. In the courtroom, he wore a t-shirt that said "killer" on it. His statement to the jury was basically, "I have no remorse. I'm glad I did what I did," and smiling. So Nikolas Cruz is so similar to TJ, even though Nikolas has some he's got some special needs. He's definitely in touch with reality. His adaptive functioning is good. So he's a scary guy. You wouldn't want him back out. You wouldn't want even the possibility that he would be around, regular people. He could hurt anybody in a moment. So anyway, I don't know. My position, I'd probably want the camera on him so people could see that he just doesn't care, and even at times laughs when they're playing these recordings. I think that people know, especially after the first couple of days of hearing the gunshots and seeing the families, at some point we need to start now focusing on him and the fact that he doesn't care. So I know that I've gotten messages left under some of my videos saying, "Oh, he's a frightened child and he needs love and he doesn't need prison, he needs rehabilitation." I'm thinking, you better watch again, because he's a little bit like a shark, right? He's just kind of going through the water with no resistance, but if the moment strikes him, he'll take your head off. So anyway, so I just wanted to address that I had, originally said that I thought that was a mistake. Now I see Mark Gillespie's point of view. I agree with him after watching the parents and the camera. But I'm really weirded out by Nikolas Cruz. He and TJ Lane are part of the same psychopath club, in my opinion. And yes, you can put Chris Watts in that same club, in my opinion. All right, everybody. I hope y'all have a good day. It's been a long time since I made a video before I went to work, but I haven't been online much this weekend. Well, I mean, I was online, but I was watching the Nikolas Cruz stuff. I didn't make a video. I was also watching A Balance, with the whole Jody Sue thing in the Summer Wells case. If y'all have not been watching that, she has said some very questionable things. One of the things that she said that, I mean, my jaw just dropped to the ground. She said that Andy, who was her husband at the time, that Andy was selling drugs to the Wells family so that the kids were taking the drug. They were giving the drugs to the kids so the kids could be touched. Now, Jody Sue Brown said that on her Facebook page. Like, she was doing a live and she was speaking and she was angry at Andy, and so she lashed out. It's kind of crazy. And that's not all she said, but that's what kicked it off. And everybody started going back through all of her lives and really, really listening, and it's quite troubling. It really is. It almost seems like she's tried to construct a narrative about the whole Scream. It's almost like she tried to construct a narrative that went against. Nobody's been able to corroborate that storyline, and it's like she's trying to manipulate maybe the time frame, but all that is wild speculation that we should probably save for Friday night, right? Okay. I hope you guys have a good day. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do my exercise today because I work 10 hours and it's too damn hot to go outside at lunch. But you know what? I may not do anything at all. I may just put my feet up and try to stay cool. So we'll see, because I feel better when I walk. But all right, people, I can't think anything else I wanted to say. Y'all have a great day, and stay out of that trauma drama. It'll get you. Bye.